What's up, Fearless Networkers? Todd Falcone here. Welcome back to another episode. Today we're going to talk a little bit about closing. Traditional selling, network marketing, people that have challenges closing, that's not an unusual thing. So let's just kind of talk about what the struggles might be, why you might not be closing, and perhaps how to be better at closing. And I'm also going to say this. People sometimes say, network marketing isn't selling, and I disagree with that statement. Now, here's the thing we have to understand about selling. I think some people have the perception that selling is forcing someone, coercing, manipulating someone to do something that they don't want to do, against their will, if you will. And I don't really believe that's the case. Now, of course, there's some hardcore salespeople that are trying to close you, and so maybe that's where that weird feeling comes in. But the reality is, closing or selling is really simply exchanging value, and that's what it is. Somebody has a hurt, a want, a dissatisfaction, a desire, a need, something, and you have something that fills that void and makes them happy, and they're willing to exchange dollars for the relief of that pain or that satisfaction, or whatever it might be. So that to me is really what selling is. And yeah, network marketing is selling. We are in the direct selling profession, not the direct sharing profession, right? We share information, but we're not in the sharing, and that's not just what we do. So and clearly, we wouldn't even have this conversation right now if it was just sharing, because why would there be a need to close? If it's so good here, just have some, right? So let's just chat about that for a couple minutes and just kind of walk through like what might help you be a better closer, okay? First of all, are you asking for the business? That's the first thing that I see a lot of people struggle with. They get to the end and then they just don't even ask. And I don't think in network marketing there needs to be some trick closing question. Honestly, when I get to the tail end of people running out of questions and they've looked at, in fact, let's roll through a scenario. Let's do that. So you have a conversation with somebody. You have some kind of an engagement with somebody. They're showing a level of interest, and you show your level of professionalism by being on time and being professional in how you operate and function, and you go and you provide information to that person, getting them to a video, inviting them to a Zoom, inviting them to an in-home, whatever it might be. And the purpose of that is what? To unveil or to share in full display what it is that you do, so that person can be knowledgeable and understand and see and kind of get a grip on what it is that we're looking at here. And then they can determine for themselves as we near the end of the process, like, is this something that they want to do or not? And so I think in the presentation itself, is there value being shown in the presentation? Is the presentation done in such a fashion that when people leave the presentation, they're like, wow, that totally makes sense. I could see myself doing that. I want to do that. Or is there a bunch of vagueness to it and lack of clarity, and they get to the end, they're still confused, they don't know what it is? I think so sometimes the inability to close may be impacted certainly by the presentation. And I'm sure we could all agree that the quality of every presentation isn't equal. Some are better, some are not so good. One thing I find that I think is missing, unfortunately, in a lot of presentations is like they give the presentation, and let's say, for example, a video. You send somebody to a video. They go through the video, explains the company, the opportunity, the products, the stuff, whatever, the trends, whatever it might be, and then the video ends. And it's like, where's the call to action, right? Like, I would never finish an opportunity presentation, a presentation, without a call to action, right? So the call to action, like, for example, in a video, if I was a recorded video, might be, hey, that's a good rundown on who we are and what we do as a company. What you want to do at this point is get back to the person right now that invited you here and just let them know where you stand. Hey, I want to do this, or I've got some questions, or it's of no interest to me. Either answer for the person's going to be fine, but get back to the person right now. I'm not saying that's the exact call to action, but having a call to action is crucial. And so if that's missing, and that's not just that's not the end of that's not necessarily the close, but it is a call to action, or it could be a close. So, you got to ask yourself, okay, so is the presentation that we're providing and that we're giving, is it complete? Does it leave gaps and holes? Does it get people excited? Like when I get people at the end of a presentation, and let's say like one of my favorite things after somebody's looked at a presentation is, hey, John, let me ask you a quick question. If you're going to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, 1, no, I'm not totally, no, this is not for me. And 10, holy goodness, my great, oh, gee, many crickets, I got to do this. What number would you give yourself? 1 to 10. And they give you, and if you're not getting consistent, like 6, 7, 8, 9s, 10s, and you're getting a bunch of 4s, 5s, 3s, 2s, something like that, then your presentation sucks. Straight up. I mean, it's just not a good presentation. Because I think any well-crafted presentation in network marketing would certainly elicit, a bunch of 6, 7, and 8s, 9s, and 10s at the tail end of it. So the quality of the presentation, the depth of the presentation, the completeness of it, the use of social validation. So all these different things need to be in play for a quality presentation to lead somebody to an informed and educated decision. Now, you may control that, you may not. You might be using some third-party tool or some tool that your company or your upline provides, or maybe you've created your own, I don't know. But we invite somebody to take a look, we get them to the information, we show our professionalism. When we follow up, we stay professional. If we say something, we do it. We don't exaggerate, we don't overhype it, we don't, and some people do, many people do in fact. We stay calm, cool, and collected through the questions and the objections that come forth as their concerns are coming out after they've reviewed information. These are all things that lead to a close. These are just like the environment of if you're professional, if you say you do it and then you do it. If you got a great quality presentation, I think I don't think I know the presentation needs to have a call to action. We get to the end of that and they get back to you and then you have a conversation with the person. Let's say the call to action was and the person who did the video, maybe not you, said, hey, get back to the person that invited you to take a look at this and let them know where you're at. And then, maybe, and here's the thing, I'm not going to wait for you to call me back. I'm going to call you back because we already scheduled the time to get back, and I'm going to get back to you and say, look, at the tail end of the presentation, the presenter asked a couple questions. Hey, is this something for you or not? And I'm not even saying it's exactly like that, but that's the basic point. Yeah, well, no, how do you feel about what you saw? No, I really liked it. Great. Are there any questions that you have? And I have no problem. I want questions. Somebody who's concerned, who has questions, that's a good thing for me. So that way I know that there's life in that prospect. And then we ultimately get to this point where we start running out of questions. And by the way, if you're not, I'm telling you, and I've done this on previous episodes, if you're not utilizing third-party validation in your process, you are closing less people than you could be. Period. Like if the presentation doesn't have social validation. What is social validation? Testimonials, for example. If you start talking about how amazing your product is in the presentation, and there's no social validation, there's no testimonials after you've done the product side, you're missing a major ingredient. If you just talked about the money and the opportunity and the potential, and then you don't have people sharing how their life has changed, testimonial social validation after that segment, it's a missing ingredient, and you're going to close less people. Okay, and again, I want you to understand, it's not about It's not about trying to close somebody and twist their arm into doing the deal. We can't twist anybody's arm into doing the deal because they still have to work, right? So the close is really the beginning. It's not the end. The close is actually the beginning. That's when you start to work with somebody. So, we get to the end of the presentation and we see how they feel. If they're showing interest, of course I'm going to bring a third-party person into the deal. I'm going to do a three-way call. I'm going to bring somebody in who's got a level of expertise that maybe I don't have. They're going to hear another, maybe they got a few testimonials in the video or the Zoom or whatever it was. And then they're actually engaging in conversation with me, the distributor, them, the prospect, and my expert that knows maybe more than I do. And that's going to lead it that much closer to a decision because they get even more clarity and they get even more comfort. And then if I got to ask any question at the tail end, honestly, I don't have a really big trick closing question. And it's just like, hey, John, we get to the end of the process and basically we've run out of questions. I'm like, hey, and he's still there. John, would it be okay if I showed you the different options and getting started with us? Sure, I've never had anybody say no to that. And then I just lay out the different options. So you need to know what the options are. Distributor only kit, $49.95, entrepreneur package, $197, superstar entrepreneur package, $497, whatever they are. and be able to articulate that to an individual in terms of the benefits of that. You know, this is what it is. This is what you get. This is the reason why you'd want to get it. How do you see yourself getting started? So you have to ask for the business. You can't just throw it out there and hope that they're going to join. Wouldn't that be awkward? You get to the end of a presentation, you're like, we just stare at each other. Hey, was that cool? Yeah, it was cool. All right, then. Nice. How's your day going? I mean, that's weird. So we get to the end and you ask for the business. And then if more objections or questions come up, so what? Then you need to address and be able to deal with those. In fact, this I don't really even talk about this on blog posts very much, but this right here, and if you're on my podcast, you're not seeing this, but I got my book Fearless Networking in my hands. You guys need to have this. Fearless Networking goes into the fundamentals of rapport building and connecting, inviting, following up, closing, overcoming objections. I deal with every objection in that book. You can get it on my website. Go to toddfalcone.com/free book. You can get it there. You can get it on the front page of my website at toddfalcone.com. But look, here's the deal. You have to be aware of what's going on in your closing. Are you doing these things that I've just mentioned to you over the last 15 minutes or so? And if you're not, then, that needs to change. And then, again, I'm going with the assumption that you're actually putting people through the pipeline, but nobody's, coming out the back end. Like, you're not closing business if you're not prospecting. But if you're prospecting and you're not closing business, you got to look at the different situations. I mean, how are you in and through the process? Are you showing that you're serious? Are you taking people to a quality presentation? Are you taking people through a presentation that has a call to action if that call to action doesn't exist? Are you creating a call to action? A call to action is an instruction to do something, right? It's a call to action. Do this, get back to the person. Let them know if you're interested or not interested. But again, you got to look at what you're doing. Are you even asking for the business at the end? And I've even shown you for me, the easiest thing to do is explain the different options and say, hey, how do you see yourself getting started? That's pretty simple. So those are some tips for you guys on getting better at closing. If you want more details from this particular post, this particular episode, if you're on YouTube, I appreciate that. If you're on my podcast, thank you so much. Please give us a review on the podcast as well. And the other thing is the conversation's happening over at toddfalcone.com/episode 41. That's this episode that you're on to right now. toddfalcone.com/episode 41. toddfalcone.com/episode 41. On that page, you'll see some other resources that I think you'll find pretty cool to help you build your business. It's free. You can grab it. I want to help you build your network marketing business. Have an amazing day. We'll see you on the next episode. We'll see you.